How's it going, everyone? Today we're doing a muscle building, sort of bodybuilding-esque tier list on supplements. So remember, this is going to be on supplements specifically, not necessarily the nutrient itself, right? This is how much should you consider buying these as a supplement. Keep that in mind. Let's get right into it. Don't want to waste any of your time. So first one, we have alpha lipoic acid, otherwise known as ALA. This is something that you can get from your diet. This is something that your body actually can create on its own. So already as a supplement, it's not sounding too good. There is, however, one study that did show that there was a not significant, it wasn't statistically significant increase in muscle recovery. Now that could be great for hypertrophy, right? My general go-tos, right, for a supplement is, does it make me, and this is for natural specifically, does it make me move more or better? And then does it improve my diet, right? So does it add something to my diet that I otherwise wouldn't be getting, or does it help me, curb hunger, something like that? Alpha lipoic acid doesn't really do any of that. It might have an effect on muscle recovery, but even the studies that show that it might do that even say more research is needed. So I'm going to throw it in D tier because, quite frankly, probably save your money. Then we have ashwagandha. So this is a big one. This one, I think we're still kind of lacking a little bit of research on it. There's a little bit of quality control that needs to be done about whether, one ashwagandha supplement is as good as another one. Right? I believe there was a bit of spiking and there were some ashwagandha supplements that didn't even have the actual root in it. I believe the bracket that comes with the supplement, like to the side of ashwagandha, the withanolides, is like the standard of the quality. My general opinion is that ashwagandha, if it works, would work through a reduction in cortisol, which would create overall, and it's like that stress hormone, that would create a better environment for improved training, improved recovery, maybe even balance out your hormones, give you a little bit more testosterone, but nothing crazy. It also may have some negative effect on, or not necessarily negative, but it might have this sort of balancing effect on your mood. Some people report really highly that it makes them feel nothing, and then some people say it makes them feel awesome. I think most of that's placebo, right? So you never should just take one anecdote. Like if some guy at the gym says he took ashwagandha and he was just freaking high as a kite and he felt awesome and his testosterone was crazy, I guarantee you the dude's never gotten his blood work done. So don't just take one person's word for it. My general opinion is that at best, the improvement you might see from ashwagandha is like 20 to 40% what you might see with creatine. Spoiler alert. And for that, do you really want to spend money on it and risk having some sort of possibly negative effect to your personality or mood? I don't know. If I were to recommend it to anyone, I'd recommend it to maybe bodybuilders in prep when like life might get a little stressful and you might want that little bit of a balancing effect. And then of course, take it within a reasonable dosage. I believe 300 to 600 milligrams daily is that, rough range that people are experimenting with it. You could always go a little bit less than that and take it in isolation of other things. See if it has an effect that you notice. And if you don't like it, take it off, right? I generally don't recommend adding a ton of supplements all at once because then it's like, okay, which one's doing what? I'm going to put ashwagandha in B tier. I think if you want to try it, give it a shot. I've tried it and I didn't notice shit, so I stopped taking it. Then we have BCAAs, otherwise known as branched chain amino acids. So if you don't know, there are 9 dietary essential amino acids, meaning you have to get them from your diet. And of course, amino acids are, the building blocks of protein, muscle, and all that. So you might think, oh, so what is branched chain amino acids? Well, it's just 3 of them. It's isoleucine, leucine, and valine. In isolation, they do nothing, right? You need all of the amino acids to really have a significant growth in muscle. Plus, if you notice, there's no calories in BCAAs, so obviously it's missing that energy component, right? It's missing, it's missing the calories, it's missing the nitrogen. It is not protein, right? So if you were to literally do nothing, right, eat nothing, and just have BCAAs, it's going to do virtually nothing, right? I think this is like one of the peak scams. I think that the only theoretical reason why you'd want to add just those 3 amino acids in isolation is if you wanted to make something that wasn't a complete protein, like if you wanted to take, I don't know, something that was low on leucine. I don't have an exact example. I mean, honestly, most sources of protein are pretty good in all reality. And you have to realize, like, people always talk about, like, oh, those plant sources of protein aren't complete, right? They're missing amino acids. That's wrong, right? That's just straight up wrong. And that's like one of the biggest just falsehoods in, nutrition, is that plant protein doesn't contain all 9 essential amino acids. They contain all of them. All of them. Every single plant has all 9 essential amino acids, but in lacking quantities, meaning like you might eat, I don't know, let's take chickpeas, for example. One serving of chickpeas might not give you enough leucine, right? It just gives you a little bit. And to get that like 2.5 grams of leucine per meal, you might want to add another source of food that contains more leucine. I guess you could theoretically add the BCAAs, but you know what you could also do? Just eat more chickpeas, just double or triple the serving, and now suddenly, oh my God, I'm at 2.5 grams of leucine. I'm going to put this in F. I think you should save your money. Next, we have caffeine. Remember how I mentioned if it makes me move more, move better, or improve my diet, or, curb that hunger, I'm generally going to like it as a natural bodybuilder or just natural physique athlete. I don't really compete, but I have a huge passion for helping other people compete. Caffeine is like top of the line when it comes to helping me focus in the gym. And I think a lot of people can vouch for that. I personally find that I can focus more when I have a little bit of caffeine. Plus, sometimes I go to the gym and I'm kind of tired, right? It's after a long day. So having that little bit of caffeine, of course, try not to take it right before bed, right? Give yourself, I'd say 4 to 6 hours of no caffeine before bed. I'm going to put caffeine up in A or S tier. I think I want to put it in S for me, but for most people, or not most people, but for some people, they just shouldn't take caffeine because they're at risk for myocardial infarction, or they have heart problems, or they have blood pressure problems, or they have any problem that would make them at risk, and probably shouldn't take caffeine, or maybe within a super small amount. I'm going to put in A tier for that reason. Plus, it doesn't necessarily just massively increase your muscle size or anything on its own, but it helps you train better, which training is like 90% of the game when it comes to natural bodybuilding, right? Then your non-training variables, right? Now we have calcium. Now, calcium is a great nutrient, but I think most people are probably getting enough calcium. I think it's not something that you would need to take really at all for the purpose of bodybuilding or muscle growth or weight loss specifically. Right? I just don't see a reason. I think you can just improve your overall diet and that'll give you your calcium, right? I don't necessarily think we should use supplements as patchwork. You should use it as a supplement, right? You should, if you can get it naturally through your diet, you probably should, because you'll probably get other things from that. It'll probably help you be more satiated. It'll probably be a more fulfilling diet. It'll probably help you just live an overall better life. I don't see a reason to take calcium for bodybuilding. Does that make sense? So I'm going to put it in D tier with alpha lipoic acid. I'm not going to put it in F tier because I don't think calcium's a scam. I think it's great. I just don't see a reason to buy that specifically for bodybuilding. Next, we have S tier. It's creatine. Creatine's like the one thing that's like generally like really proven to be super good for your brain health, your muscles, your performance. It's good for just about everyone, even if you don't train. And if you do train, it will improve your muscle size and strength. Some people seem to be non-responders from taking creatine, but even then, they're not necessarily non-responders. They just need to take more of it. And then before someone mentions it, yes, you can get creatine from your diet, but most people aren't doing it. I think it's like a pound of beef, like a pound of ground beef, has like only like 1 gram of creatine. And if we're going for 5 grams per day, right, that's like the general recommendation for a male. I don't know if you're going to eat 5 pounds of beef, right? That's, now you're already in a bulk, depending on the cut. So creatine is just, there you go. From the research I've read, there doesn't seem to be liver problems. You don't have to cycle on and off of it. It's something you naturally already have in your body. Just take a reasonable dosage, right? Just don't choke down, tablespoons of creatine and you should be fine. Vitamin D3, phenomenal vitamin. There is some research to show that it may improve muscle size, strength, and just overall performance, VO2 max, um, bone mineral density. But the one thing that makes me a little hesitant is there's also some research to show that really high dosages of vitamin D3 can actually have a negative effect on your bone mineral density. And if I get injured in the gym, that's going to heavily negatively impact my ability to move more, move better. And it's probably going to screw up my diet too, because now I'm not moving. So now I'm going to probably binge more because I have nothing else to do. So that, plus the fact that a lot of people are already getting enough vitamin D3 from their lifestyle and or diet. A lot of foods in, countries like the United States have, are fortified with vitamin D. So you might not necessarily need to take it and buy it separately as a supplement, especially for muscle growth. I'm going to put it upwards in B tier. I think you might already have enough of it, but I think it's really good. I'm going to put it in that ashwagandha tier. I'm less worried about the bone mineral density thing because I think that just taking a regular serving and then just having your normal diet isn't going to be that crazy amount. I just don't want people to be blasting it. Electrolytes. So I think electrolytes are like the most overrated thing. I think electrolytes are great, and I think they're great for athletes, especially like, long distance runners. I think most people don't need a sugary beverage with a bunch of sodium because, a lot of athletes, right, even though they train hard, they're sitting around for most of the day, right, recovering and eating a lot of food. Why do we need to add a bunch of sodium, right? And a lot of these electrolyte powders and drinks, they're mostly sodium. They're not even a ton of potassium, which would be kind of nicer to get the potassium in. I'm going to put electrolytes. Jeez. I'm going to put an F tier. I'm going to be honest. I think people selling sodium, just basically tubs of just straight sodium with like some flavoring in it, is a scam, right? I don't think it's going to improve your training. I think you're better. You know what you could do? Take your pre-workout, right? Pre-workout isn't in this tier list. But if you are already taking pre-workout, if you want to know where I'd put pre-workout, I'd put it in like A tier because caffeine. But I think a lot of pre-workouts are generally kind of scammy. Like I would look at because of the brands, I would put some pre-workouts up in A tier with caffeine, probably because they have caffeine in them. And then some I would put like all the way in F tier. Like genuinely, it ranges that much, especially non-stim versions that just have a bunch of junk filler powder. Yeah, they're F tier. Don't buy them. But that would be a whole rant if pre-workouts were in this. Electrolytes, what you could do is with your pre-workout, if there's not already a little bit of salt in it, you could just add some salt or some potassium salt. You don't need that much for bodybuilding or resistance training. Next, we have fat burners. So fat burners, I think, for the intention of fat burning, are F tier. I think they're scams. Really, all they are, for the most part, is just stims, right? It's caffeine. It's maybe some vasodilators to just try and get you to move more, fidget more, right? Like if you take a fat burner, at work or something, maybe you'll tap your fingers a little bit more, or tap your feet, just by the virtue of having the caffeine in it. And if it doesn't have stims in it, it's not doing anything. Straight up. So I'm going to put in F tier. I think if you're taking a pill with the intention of burning fat, unless there's battery acid in that pill, you ain't getting no fat burning effect out of it. So next we have vitamin K2 MK7. This is just the long lasting nutrient of vitamin K2. Again, not bad, right? If you're not getting it from your diet. I'm just going to put it in D tier with the other ones. Next, we have mass gainers. I think that's more interesting than vitamin K2. Mass gainers are basically powders, right? Like they're protein powders, but it's not just protein. Like there's a ton of added, like, maltodextrin. Usually it's just a carb, right? Just a ton of carbs, maybe some fats, but usually it's just a ton of carbs and some protein. The idea is that if you are a hard gainer, right, like you just don't eat enough and you're not getting your calories and your protein in, you can just have a super convenient powder meal, right? That's what it is. It's powder food, right? And it can be easy to put down and you can definitely put on a lot of weight, but bulking is kind of like dirty bulking, especially, is vaulted. And I would put mass gainers in that dirty bulking side, right? You don't need a ton of calories for muscle growth. Like, you have to realize muscle growth is happening so slowly, even in beginners, that, a pound of muscle, think about how much calories are in a pound of chicken breast. If you add that, I said this in the last tier list, right? If you add that 1 pound across your entire body, right? I mean, how many calories are in 1 pound of chicken breast, right? Like, not even 1,000. So why are you drinking 1,000 calories extra a day from this powder bullshit? You don't need that. Like, just an extra 100 calories a day, extra 200, 300 at most, right? Maybe you just eat at maintenance and then a couple days of the week you have a little extra. You don't need the mass gainers. But for people who are really, really hard gainers, I think that they're convenient. I think you're better off just making a shake with regular protein powder and then just adding some oats and some peanut butter to it. I think that'd be healthier. I think that'd be tastier. I've never actually drank those mass gainers. I don't know if they're disgusting, but I mean, how good can they be? I'm going to put them in either D or C tier. I don't necessarily think they're a scam. I just think that 90% of people shouldn't be buying them. I'm going to put them in. I want to put it in C tier just because there's nothing in C tier, but you know what? I'm moving everything up just so that this can be here. I don't think it's completely useless. I think that there's probably some person, right? Like, I don't know, like a flight attendant who just doesn't eat and he's trying to grow and he just doesn't eat enough. Maybe throwing this like in your bag somewhere and just having it as super easy calories and easy protein is maybe good. Multivitamin, again, this is a bodybuilding tier list. Let's throw it in C tier. Omega-3s, again, bodybuilding tier list. I think omega-3s are phenomenal. I might even put it in B tier just because, but again, bodybuilding tier list. All right, last two, testosterone boosters. Again, this is kind of like pre-workout. The range is ridiculous. Like, some of them have, some things that might be good, right? Like, zinc, boron, vitamin D3. A lot of them contain ashwagandha, tribulus terrestris. Some of them contain black powder extract, or black pepper extract, and a black powder. That sounds like a drug. Black pepper extract. And again, the range is so crazy because some of them contain a bunch of fillers and some of them are proprietary, so you can't even see how much of what is in them. I think at best you might see like maybe a 10% improvement with the best ones. I think that in general, your testosterone is going to improve by just living an overall better life and eating an overall better diet and getting in the gym and resistance training and doing something to stress your body out. I think what you can get from a pill is just, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm probably going to put it in D tier. If we were just talking about the ones that actually have some science behind it, right? Like, if we were talking about like that gorilla mode one, I'm not going to fully tell you what the brand is because I'm not trying to like shill. But there's some actual stuff in there. Like, there's like the ashwagandha, there's vitamin D3 in there, I believe. There's the zinc. Some of these things that actually have a little bit of backing. But that's what it is. It's a little bit of backing. Like, we really don't have enough research in already healthy resistance trained males who are living an already normal, healthy diet and lifestyle, and then adding the testosterone boosters. Like, a lot of the ingredients, right? Like boron, for example. Boron's one that's in a lot of them. The only research that I've seen about improving testosterone for boron, or boron improving testosterone, is in men, I believe it was above 70 years old. I'm not 70. And even then, it was not even significantly or statistically significant. So that's why I'm going to put it there. If we're just talking about the best ones, probably B tier. Maybe. And then whey plant protein, I'm going to put this up in A tier. It is not essential. I don't think it's something that 90% of people would benefit from. I think most people would benefit from just eating more protein. I think that it's a great supplement. And I think it's up there with caffeine, where for certain people, having convenient protein and throwing a little bit of protein powder in their oatmeal or something is going to add more muscle protein synthesis because they weren't getting protein in that meal otherwise. So it's really convenient. It's really nice. It's generally affordable. My general recommendation is calculate how much protein you're getting per dollar, right? So take the serving, let's say it's 10 servings, just ease of math. 10 servings and 20 grams of protein per serving. That's 200 grams of protein. Then let's say it's $10. Divide 200 by 10, you get 20 grams of protein. So it's 20 grams of protein per dollar. That's pretty good. Anything less than 20 for a powder is bad, right? It's just not super affordable. And then also take into account that some of them, the macros are terrible. Like some of them have like 20 grams of carbs per scoop. And it's like, why am I buying a protein powder if there's a bunch of carbs in it? Not saying carbs are bad, but like what am I buying this for? So a couple things to keep in mind. I think, again, I want to stress it is not mandatory. And I personally have protein powder maybe once a week. Like I throw it in my cottage cheese and Greek yogurt bowls. Like that's it. And I throw it in my protein ice cream that I make on my, ice cream machine. That's really it. I don't drink it. I think it's kind of rough, honestly. I mean, maybe I'm just a baby, but I can't stand the clumps. All right. That is going to do it for today. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please put them down below. Thank you.